Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 4th of July weekend here in Batavia, Ohio. It's been hot. And can I say it one more time? It has been hot. It has been heat index of over 100 degrees day after day after day. But we are here for Speed'em, for freedom, for Speed'em, for fun. Happy 4th of July here, ladies and gentlemen, for everybody here in the U.S. It's a great day for karting here, and I'm glad you're joining me here in Batavia, Ohio. It is time for round number 5 of the MCC ProAM Challenge. And it's myself, Brad Dalton, here, joined by Justin Prince, who's going to be having some fun down here on the run in the time in Ohio. Justin, good morning, my friend. How are you doing today?
Doing very good and excited to see how these competitors fare out, especially on 4th of July weekend. There's a lot of stars in town as they look to battle on the racetrack, and I'm not talking about just the American flag. I'm talking about the fact that many of these competitors, with some of the national events coming up in the next few weeks here at this racetrack, have all made their way to Batavia to have a chance to get some time on the racetrack, and better yet, to battle the best in the local region and see if they can pick up some Pro-Am victories.
It's going to be an exciting one to watch here. We have 120 entries last time I checked the entry list here on the day coming out for a variety of all of our classes, shifters, IAME KA packages, 206 packages, all of your age groups, all of them here to run through. We've had warm-ups this morning. We're into qualifying. It's 206 Masters and Super Masters to get things off around this 0.95 mile, 16-turn circuit here around this track today as the karts are getting rolling. Right now, it's Scott Falcone who is fastest here with Scott Monison who is following through, and then Carson Noble and Matt Noble. Justin, you mentioned it, but the fact, next weekend, MCC has this big thing coming out here that is bringing a lot of great talent here into the region.
It's about trying to get experience and get some reps in, right? Especially if you haven't been here a while or haven't put in enough time yet, per se, to get looking at the tape. So may as well come down here a week early. It's the thought you would think for some of the drivers. Get a chance to turn some laps around, and better yet, see where they are speed-wise, see what they may need to do adjustment-wise for when they get to the national competitions over the course of the month. One of those drivers to keep an eye on is going to be Falcone, obviously, one of the top drivers in a couple different series. He's right now top of your board, already by 0.7 of a second. So already backing up his speed there. Drivers like the points leader, Alvin Atwood, looking to try and step up amongst those in the top 5 in the qualifying to start.
Some of those events coming up, too, by the way. After this weekend, the next time you see the Pro-Am Challenge on track is going to be the Hawaii 5-0 Luau in August 15th and 16th. But before that, well, let's talk about, those national events coming up. Stars Clash the Club, it's next weekend, and no competitor practice Tuesday through Thursday, which is what's bringing some of the fun here today, because drivers, they know they can't practice through the week. They got to get things going, and then, of course, at the end of July, it's CKNA Summer Nationals here, and then USPKS will bring the Ohio Grand Prix the first weekend of August. So, tons of racing going on here. Of course, this track, it's one that is always sought after. It's such a good facility. I absolutely love it. And it's one where this sector right here, this third sector, really seems to make or break a lot of the drivers here. Qualifying in Masters and Super Masters, of course, this is the ages 30 and older that run through. And, well, Justin, whenever you have drivers with tons of experience through, tons of pace, you tend to see some challenging. There's a bit of following here in the 206 as well.
Yes, and we talked about this a lot, where this package requires you to build up momentum and speed, especially like Daytona or Talladega. I know it's the very common saying we utilize here. But that being said, for some of the drivers here, we're already seeing a couple of those in the Supermasters in particular start to build up buffers in qualifying, like Scott Monison, already a 3-4 spot cushion to Larry Pike in those positions as we finish up this session. So for now, I think the main thing is we're seeing if you are comfortable with your drafting partner, it's going to help you here with the times at the very least. We've seen it work for your points leader. We've seen it work out for your current pole sitter. You got to make sure, though, you get the line just right, as we've seen in Sector 3, some of these drivers getting a little bit aggressive like Falcone with the line in the final sector.
Yeah, and that line is going to make or break through the weekend. And one of the things, too, that will be interesting to watch is checkered flag is out on this qualifying session to set your run order for the day is the fact that, well, different classes run that line completely differently. And we'll talk about that as we jump through. Masters, Super Masters qualifying done here. They've had 5 minutes to put in the fastest lap. And Scott Falcone with a 108.396. Your master on top was Scott Monenson with a 108.806 running in the Supermaster. Alan Elwood is in third right now with a 108.9. Alan Elwood, your points leader coming into the weekend. If I have not mixed him up with someone else, I have not. He is leading the points in 206 Masters coming into this weekend, so it'll be an important weekend for him to capitalize on.
I think so as well, especially when looking at some of the drivers on the list. No Geist, no Evan Corkadale. You have a few opportunities to pick up some points with some drivers either taking a drop or missing a race outright here. This is going to be pretty significant for a couple of those competitors in the course of if they want to battle for the championship. Of course, it's a busy weekend overall here in the region. You also have the action at IKC that's taking place on just the Sunday. So it becomes the question for some drivers, can you make both races? Do you prioritize the one? There's a lot of conversations, but I think for the drivers that are here, they're proving with the numbers we've seen here, especially for 4th of July day, these competitors are looking to fight it out. Look at how the separation is. Top 5, 1.4 seconds.
And I think the best part is it's a mix of Masters and Super Masters here in the unofficial results right now for qualifying. This is not just all, Masters at the top, Super Masters behind. This is a mixture of these classes coming through, and that's going to make for some great runs through the day. You'll see the Masters and Super Masters back on track about noon today for their 8-minute plus 1 lap pre-final, and then they come back out. They're the first ones out for finals at about 2:45 here in a very, very warm Batavia, Ohio. Again, I talked about that right at the very top. The first thing I said, it's been hot, and well, Justin, I don't know how it's been in your neck of the woods, but here for us, with Batavia being my local track, it has been hot, and yet again hot. This is probably the coolest it's been at 10 o'clock in the morning in probably the last week, but we're still under a heat advisory. So if you are trackside, make sure you stay hydrated. I know there are food trucks and a lot of different vendors there, of course, to get yourself taken care of. Make sure you are drinking water and staying good and cool when you can. Now, the action on track is going to heat up, of course, but if you can stay cool, that will be the name of the game. 206 Junior now rolling out, Justin. This is a class that, well, this is 12 to 15-year-olds and 206 Juniors this morning. They were led up by Ethan Langley with William Richard and Gavin Dyer, your top 3. Jacob Shively was in 4th. Homer Heeman down in 6th with Elijah Matson-Vigas in 5th. You've got 11 entries that ran in warm-up this morning, and they are all ready trying to race on the track.
Yeah, obviously trying to just get into the right position to where they can then attack for qualifying. That's kind of the thought, at least, when you have so much side-by-side. Some of them just wanting to be in a better position for the line before they settle on down the lawn front straight away. But right now, they got to sort this out quickly. You can see the hand signals for a couple competitors, too. Hey, work with me. Let's get sort of this way, because if you spend too much time battling around here, Brad, you're going to be absolutely into a tough spot for the whole run where you don't have the momentum to set the tone for quality.
Yeah, these 206s, they're very draft and momentum-heavy karts, so you can't necessarily battle your way through in qualifying and go side-by-side and run through and just think that pace alone is going to get you there. There is the fact that you almost need to sit in line, but we're, of course, talking about 12 to 15-year-old drivers, and they have the mentality of, if I'm the faster kart, I want to be ahead. So they will very often, if they think they're going to be quicker on a lap, they will leapfrog it through. Ultimately, that does hurt the pace a little bit, but that is something that you see them try to do, especially here through the final corners around through 12, 13, 14. They'll go side by side, even in qualifying. If they think that they're faster, shuffle things up, and you can see that that is exactly what they do. First laps are going to be coming across the line now, and let's take a look at how they handled 0.95 miles. Who's fastest, who's slowest, who's where. Gavin Dyer was up top. Jacob Shively came to second for a millisecond, because William Richard, 108.332, your top 4 separated by 0.3 of a second on qualifying. The entire field spread out by just over 2 seconds.
But remember, it's just the start of the run, and that includes your points leader in this series. And Heyman, you mentioned him. He's had a couple max points days with a couple drops also coming into play for that 43 machine on the campaign. Homer has also made some appearances in some national events in the past month or so especially. Ran as high as amongst those in the top half of the field in SCUSA competition. So really has been trying to get more experience at that level after for a long time, essentially outside of one start last year and one start in 2024 and a USPK start here at MCC has mainly ran locally. So try to get some more opportunities with the national dates, as especially some of those circulate around this region of the country. Get some opportunities to show what you can do at the national side. Currently second in qualifying.
Yeah, and Homer Heeman, a driver definitely to keep an eye on here in 206 Junior, has a ton of pace through, I think back to round 3, especially though, where Homer Heeman there in Battaglia de Karts, the Sunday after fight in 206 Junior, kind of had a bit of a wild weekend, I'll call it that, coming through and along. Picked up a couple of penalties, one in qualifying for avoidable contact that day, and then lost the lead into T2 in the final, and then picked up a tramline penalty. As we see, again, more shuffling coming along here, heading down into turn number 11 and 12, or into 12, 13, 14, forgive me. And yeah, not interesting to see so much shuffling happening here in 206 Junior, but for Heeman, a very quick driver, I would expect to see near the top here. We're 30 seconds left to go in qualifying. This should start everyone's final lap around.
32 seconds left on the clock specifically. Look at Madsen. I think it's getting to the top of the board though. 370 charging to the top for now, and as an error, one of the drivers that's raced in a couple different series, made appearances last year, ran a lot of USPKS starts before shuffling to mainly the club scene around the summertime. This year is focused on races in the Ohio region, the 370 streaking to the top of the board amongst those right in the back of that front group.
Hold on, right to the back of the group, coming through the final half of the lap, down the hill into turn 11 to come up the hill and go back towards turn 12. There is a bump that you see these drivers swerving to avoid. They're about halfway down that hill. Some classes, you'll see them just ramp over it and not care. Some of them you see will swerve and avoid, and it really just depends on how they feel. Watch the grip through 13 and 14, though. If they have a lot of grip through, that will make a difference. Bounce in the seat there in the front as we head towards the line. Checkered flag is out. Who can improve? Can anyone improve? We get a bit of a run from behind, and it is Elijah Matson-Biggis, 107.410, 700ths of a second over Gavin Dyer, is going to pull through, and Homer Heeman will drop to third. Last few carts coming across the line here, and look at that top 5 separated by 0.3 of a second.
Nicely done, especially for the 370 here. It should be a pretty competitive race, I feel, amongst this top 5 with what we see already on the average pace. The big thing's going to be, you're going to have a very quick set of races once again here at this facility once we get going. We're talking about 10 to 14 minutes, give or take, at the very max. So you better find a way to execute when we get to the pre-finals to try and score some points on the board.
That execution here going into the pre-finals, so important. And again, remember, we don't just have today that we're running either. We run today and then we go back out again tomorrow, but it's 2 separate rounds. It's not like we're sticking here into the weekend and everything carries over. You have to treat today and tomorrow as 2 separate rounds, but I tell you what, you're going to feel it by the end of the day tomorrow.
That I agree with, especially with it expected today. The temperature's up to 90. And don't forget, tomorrow could be an interesting time because there's storms in the projections where you might also have to think about a rain race. No, weather's been a big thing, not just with the heat, but also the rain, depending on the region for some of the drivers. And I know especially for yourself yesterday, long story. But the question's going to be, I think for some of these competitors, you're going to have to be able to make sure you're ready for a hot step today and be ready for anything tomorrow.
Yeah, it's oh man, I tell you what, my mortal enemy right now is water. I'm gonna leave it at that. My mortal enemy is water. Except for drinking water. Again, it's hot. Drink some water, but don't let water inside your home if at all avoidable here. 206 Junior qualifying so strong. Your next run on class is here, 206 Senior, and you want to talk about a class that is willing to basically, I don't want to call it a slugfest, but they are willing to really fight it out here in 206 Senior. Mark Steele, your fastest kart in 206 Senior warm-up. You've got so many strong names here this weekend in 206 Senior. Sam Tutt is running second warm-up. Max Francelli was third in warm-up. Right now in your championship standings in your 206 Senior category, it's actually Randall Potter who is leading the 206 Senior Championship with Emily DeMaster in second, Adler Klein in third. And so we should see a good opportunity for 206 Senior to shuffle up quite a bit here this weekend.
Well, looking at some of the numbers in the standings too, a lot of the drivers have been back and forth in terms of starts, first of all, with a couple drivers already taking a 0 for their drops. But also, consistency between rounds seems to be a big battleground for a lot of these drivers coming into today. So the thought process, at least to me, is if you want to win this championship, you got to not only race, but also do well consistently. That's been a battle all season. And with these drivers, we will have more shuffle in the points with the drivers that are here today when it comes to 206 Senior.
Yeah, I mean, again, thinking back to last round 4 here, qualifying, it was Heber, Krasuski, Klein, Roland. The whole field separated out by 1 second in 206 Senior. So the consistency is so hard because the competition is so close. And I mean, Krasuski last time, going from qualifying to the pre-final, qualified second, but then by the end of lap 1 was in last place. And then you had Adler Klein challenging Heber, Braden Heber through, and it was a .005 gap across the line for the pre-final, with Ace and Roland able to get all the way up into P3. We think back again to round 3 of 206 Senior. You had Roderick Racing Development pulling a 1-2-3 with Emily DeMaster, and then, of course, AJ Roderick was in second, but AJ Roderick picked up a DQ at the scales after doing a last to first in pre-final and had to try for a last to first in the final again in round 3, and it was a run through with Emily DeMaster, .06 over Ben Lida for the win in round 3 of 206 Senior. So it's so important to be consistent, but it's also so important to be able to handle the pressure in this class. This is a class that has a lot of very strong talent that shows up every single time we show up to Ohio, and so you have to be able to face that pressure and really show up when it matters.
Going to get interesting for a couple drivers. And you mentioned Mark Steele was amongst those on the entry list for 206 Senior here today. Noticing here, Brad, he's not one of the drivers out on the racetrack for qualifying according to the timing loops. So curious what's going on with his situation. Potentially we'll have to watch on, because the Steele Motorsports boss man, usually we've seen him at the natural scene in the Masters classes be one of the contenders, especially with some of the races at Newcastle about a month or so ago. I'm curious what's going to be the situation for him by the time we go racing, because at the minimum, it's a last to first challenge, potentially for Kart 543.
Mark Steele's a wily one, so I could see Mark Steele kind of forcing a last to first challenge just for fun. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if that was Mark Steele's mentality into this. Of course, it is real life, and you always do have the challenge of potential mechanical issues. We'll see if we can't get some info from behind the scenes on exactly where Mark Steele is at and why Mark Steele is not showing on track here for the pre-final for Saturday. Hopefully, again, everything is okay with that 543 number-plated kart, and we'll be out there here a little bit later. Mark Steele, you said it, and I'll echo it, a very, very strong driver that wouldn't surprise me a bit to be able to go through and challenge forward and pull off a last to first challenge that we've seen in 206 Senior before.
Absolutely. And we'll say with the speed showcase at the top, Adler Klein taking a step. Hold on, Iannello taking a step. A lot of your top contenders that we've seen appear in these races and do so in a frequent manner, showing their pace. Heber is a bit of a surprise right now, down in 5th though. And Heber's one of the drivers that's ran full time every round so far. Gonna have to pick it up quickly. Usually is a contender for the race lead in that 8 kart.
Let's take a look here, because Braden Heber, that highlighter yellow helmet, always consistent. It seems like it's, for Braden Heber, it's one of those stories that if it's not bad luck on a race, it's, you know, sometimes just Braden Heber, I feel like, just gets the bad end of a stick every once in a while, but is very, very quick. And definitely anytime you see Braden Heber on track, not just for the highlighter yellow, of course, or green, I still haven't gotten a good confirmation on yellow versus green for Braden Heber. I'll leave that up to the masses, and I'm sure that I'll end up with a message on Discord or somebody in YouTube chat to correct me. Coming to the line, Heber pulls out wide, looking for a bit of pace here. Is not gonna find it, unfortunately. It does find pace, but again, we talked about the competitiveness of this field. Justin, top 6 with Braden Heber in 6th place. Would anyone like to guess the gap of the top 6? 0.087. Your whole field separated by just 3/4 of a second.
And the top 7 of that, no offense to Spec there, within about 1/4 of a second. So it kind of just showcases, again, how on top of each other this field is in terms of pace. And it's been that way, at least if you look at the numbers side and you pass with the eyeball test, it's been that way all season. And it's going to continue today.
This is going to be the class where I'm not making a prediction. There's a lot of classes you can make a prediction on who's going to be where, but these drivers are neck and neck in pace, they're neck and neck in skill, and, well, they're neck and neck in competitiveness. If they all survive the heat of the day and tomorrow, you can pretty well just draw a name out of a hat, and you have a 1 in 8 chance of picking the right driver. We're going to take a brief moment here at Kart Chaser. When we come back, your next class to roll out is 206 Cadets. We go to the Young Guns next. We'll be right back.
Come on, man.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to Kart Chaser coverage live in Batavia, Ohio, here at MCC, where we're running through its qualifying time live and going, and it's 206 Cadets out here getting the roll along here. Our young gun of the weekend ready to roll through. It's myself, Brad Dalton, joined by Justin Prince for this special Speed 'em Fest here on the 4th of July weekend. And 206 Cadet, let's talk about this class, because again, if 206 juniors and 206 seniors are a class that can be competitive, well, 206 Cadets just want you to forget that those classes exist. Drew Schneider leading the championship coming into the weekend here with Harrison Bell and Sam Hornish, your top three on the point standings coming in. This class, Justin, always makes me excited. The young guns know how to put on fireworks on track in the middle of the day. Typically, you don't see them until nighttime. They love to show us how fast they can race in the day.
And I think for a lot of these, definitely so, and I think a lot of these drivers here today are going to be an interesting spot here with some of the drivers on the entry list. Camilo Canache is going to be one driver we're keeping an eye on that's made some national appearances. Already up to second spot here in this. As they work their way through, Hodges also starting up pretty solid. But remember, these drivers usually like to fight from the word go, at least to me here, Brad, when it comes to battling up for the race lead. I'm expecting that again today with some of these drivers here at this level.
That is the name of the game in 206 Cadet. There is no qualifying. It is just be in the front of the field all the way through. You'll see some of the older 206 Cadets, which is so funny to say because of how young this class is. Ages 8 to 12 here running through. You'll see some of our younger, older cadets going through, and that is what makes the difference for them here. Some of them will be a little bit wiser to think about the fact that they can breathe back and give it a moment and draft and do all of the things. But even then, still, they want to be the front ones on track here. 1:40 left to go in qualifying. Next round of karts to cross the track, and Chase Thixton jumping up into second place, 0.02 of a second off of Austin Taylor. Austin Taylor again went faster on the last lap, and they are already running about 2.5 tenths faster than they did in warm-ups. So plenty of pace in all of these karts, and it seems like it's just going to get faster as the weekend goes.
It feels like that with the once you get the tire pressures up right, it gets to a point where you get faster and faster to a certain point. As long as you don't chew up your tires, I think you're in a good spot. By the way, for the person asking, is this pre-recorded? No, we are not pre-recorded. We are live here in Batavia, Ohio for today. After all, these are real karts. This is not a simulation here today. In all seriousness, though, I think we're about to see a lot of shuffling here at the line once again. A few of these drivers shuffling their way through the final sector.
I mean, if you want some good simulation, of course, there is Kart Sim. Be sure to check them out. But this is real. This is live. This is as it happens. My reaction, Justin's reaction is as it goes. So that is where we're at. Austin Taylor there, still on the top, a 107.476. More and more pace being found in this circuit. A 10th up on Wyatt Huntsbarger, making the jump to second place. Up 8 places on the pace last time through with a 107.586. These drivers really finding speed here in 206 Cadet. And last time out, Bell, Schneider, Shipper, Hornish all battled it out through. And I can tell you, I see Bell, I see Schneider, I see Shipper, I see Hornish. I don't see them at the front, though.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing to mention because I was going to say, Schneider has to pick it up here already, about half a second off the pole time. Taylor, who is one of the drivers not to make any starts yet this season, according to the points tallies, really stepping up. But that was a driver we normally seen last year make some appearances, also made some waves to the national side of the 124. So some of the drivers that we haven't seen as much of for the club scene, I guess you could say in a couple of their cases, stepping up, while others about to take that checker flag as Taylor races the bar. There goes some of the drivers jumping up. Snyder does only get back to 5th.
An absolute shuffle up of the order here that we are so used to seeing. Your points leader, Drew Schneider, all the way down in 5th. Your defending champion as well, you have to mention in that number 1 plated cart here. Austin Taylor, Chase Thixton, Camila Kanash, Harrison Bell, and then it's Huntsbarger, Shipper, Hornish, Alexander, and Hodges, your top 10. Your top 10 all separated again by that all coveted 3/4 of a second here. 13 karts taking the run here, and I tell you what, buckle it up, because cadets are going to get wild later. You'll see them out on track again, if you're a Kart Chaser Premium member, about 12:45 today for their 8-minute plus 1 lap pre-final here on Kart Chaser. And again, if you're not a Kart Chaser Premium member, it's $9.99 a month. And what else can you get for cheaper than $9.99 a month? Not a lot. I can tell you a McDonald's combo is more than $10, so I'm just saying. Great karting all day for your 4th of July weekend, grilling out with the family and watching some great go-karts go around. Or do you want a McDonald's, double cheeseburger combo? I'm picking karting on 4th of July while I grill out. I don't know about you, Justin.
I mean, bring your barbecue to the racetrack if you're allowed to. That's the important thing. Make sure you check with your track boss with that. And then race your kart. And then during the lunch break, put your barbecue up, grill on the burger, or burgers on the grill, should say, and then you get back in the kart. Nice things you could do on the 4th of July weekend. I think a lot of these drivers are going to be in the very festive spirits, especially since it is the 250th birthday of the United States here today.
Absolutely that. 250 years of this nation, and we're celebrating it with go-karts on track as we should. Best way to celebrate is with some motorsport. Getting set up now for Shifter, Pro Shifter to run through. And I'll tell you, in warm-up, it was Riley Pegram, the IMSA driver, the Michelin Pilot Challenge driver, going out and putting in some great pace going through and taking a pit stop here this weekend through that driver of the number 72 Honda Civic Type R in the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge. Put in a time, but Mateo Pappas was only 29/100ths off on the warm-up time here today. So there's some challenge coming through. I don't think anything is going to be guaranteed. And then, of course, you don't just have Riley running. You got Larry running as well. And if you don't know Larry Pegram, well, Larry's the dad of Riley. They run together. And so they are both here today in Shifter and Junior Shifter. It's not Homer Heumann running this weekend. Homer Heumann, your points leader in Junior Shifter, Justin. It looks like not running the Shifters this weekend, though, and will be taking a step back from there. 3 juniors, 5 senior shifters, and a lot of pace in this field.
Was talking about this with a producer earlier this morning, because before the list updated up right for the start of the sessions today, Lowry was one of the drivers that stood out along Pappas. Both drivers we've seen at the national side, of course. Max Pappas, related to Mateo Pappas as the parent of him, usually runs over at Trackhouse these days for his club scene, but has made some appearances in the national scene at USPCast. This is his first start really outside of Trackhouse since last September. Also, Lowry's been looking pretty fast whenever we've seen him, usually in a Magic Kart, appear in his respective races. Just one start all of 2026, though. This is just his second appearance in the U.S. here this weekend, and he is right now one of the drivers not yet to cross the time yet. Just the Pegrams and Pappas are on there right now.
Coming through here as the drivers get their runs through. You see a lot of these TKG karts out and about here. Of course, the home of TKG here at MCC. And so no surprise to see a lot of those familiar team colors coming out and about here for the go of the weekend. Look at that nose to tail running here up at the front as we see some slipstream, some jumping. These shifter karts, they run this track different than anyone. And well, that's because they have gears, Justin. I mean, I hate to put it so plainly, but the fact that these karts have gears gives them the opportunity to really rip around this track in ways that you wouldn't expect otherwise. And we'll see again as the times come through. 55-1 for Riley Pegram to start out this go. And then again, Mateo Pappas, a 55-4. And then Larry there with a 55-5. That's this group of 3 that are together. And again, 55 seconds is ridiculous. This is a 0.95 mile track. And they're running it in sub 56 second laps. Almost sub 55. They probably will be sub 55 by the time we're done.
Yeah, these laps turn pretty quickly when it comes to these machines. You can just see again. First, you have a little bit higher revs, but also in terms of the line part you mentioned, you have to attack the track a little bit differently. You have to approach some of the curbing areas a little bit more different as well. Got to make sure you maximize the RPMs so you don't bog down, slip up, miss a shift. A lot of those different factors coming into play. Pappas, 71,000 off the pole behind Riley, though. Looking to step up. Lowry, who is in the second pack, still needs to find a little bit of pace in their mark, the 2:21, and quickly a second and a half off the top three.
Looking to see that pace come through. There's Drake Williamson making an appearance on track. Only a minute 45 left, and now that 09 kart of Drake Williamson makes the appearance out. I'm going to imagine for the junior shifter, it will be 1, maybe 2 laps of timed laps going out through for that 09, if possible. I think what's really hurting the 221 of Mitchell Lowry now is the fact that there's not a friend to work with. It is very much just your own run here, and that doesn't help a lot. If you can have a friend to work with, it makes a big difference, but right now Mitchell Lowry doesn't, and I think that is genuinely that second of pace difference is coming from.
I think so, absolutely. You see that right here with Lowry coming across, did get within back half a second, so it's looking a little bit better. That, however, seen Riley Pegram also go even quicker here as some clouds settle over the racetrack. Mind you, one thing I think you got to watch for too, with the fast paces we're setting here, there's a chance by the time especially we get to, say, the final, I think we'll get an extra lap or two for this class compared to some of the others, just because they're running that much faster, of upwards 5-10 seconds compared to a 206 package. So you're going to have to manage these carts a little bit more time. You see right now the interval difference already. We're on lap 4 for these carts. A lot of the drivers only got a 4th lap at the cap for the qualifying for the air group so far.
10 seconds left to go on the clock. One kart standing off to the side there through. That is not be ideal. Drake Williamson under investigation for impeding. That is that number 09 kart who came out just for 1, maybe 2 laps and is already being looked at by our director of competition, Seth Streidel here in the MCC track. Will be taking a look at whatever happened with that 09. Robert Lash, by the way, was Shifter Jr. coming across for the checkered flag. What a lap coming through there for the junior shifter. A 58.6 coming through, gold lap time there in the junior category as everyone comes through to cross the checkered flag. And Mateo Pappas will come across through. Larry Pegram, Mitchell Lowry will hold 3rd. And then Riley Pegram still left to finish out this run here in that number 77. That is your shifter qualifying done and dusted.
Solid qualifying run, I think, for Pegram, Riley specifically, and Mateo Pappas. But Lowry did find some late pace in the qualifying session. I think it's going to be an interesting thing if Lowry has to fire off later on today, Brad, because that's the big concern. If you can't keep up with the short run, yes, you can get some speed on the long run, but you have to be able to keep up with that race leader's tempo if you want a chance with how quick these races are going to go today.
Gee, looks like we're missing the engine. What the hell am I supposed to tag?
What do you mean? It's my Greyhound. It's all I need.
Where's the rest of it?
It doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
How's he gonna make weight? Okay, you're good.
Sitting by here with Kyle, our race winner. Tell me how you did it. You were blazing fast out there, and I mean, you don't even have a go-kart, man. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Norberg, Schmorberg, the Greyhound-powered Greyhound was great today. You know, it makes the difference. And the team's been working really hard back at the shop, and, you know, just shout out Greyhound.
Thank you, Kyle.
How the f did you just win?
Doesn't matter. It's a Greyhound.
Welcome to the future of kart race preparation, Kart Sim Pro North America. Featuring laser-scanned North American kart circuits and precision-tuned kart physics developed using real telemetry, dyno and tyre data, Kart Sim Pro North America delivers the most advanced and realistic kart simulation experience available today. Whether you're training for race day, refining your lines, or shaving tenths off your personal best, KartSim Pro gives you pro-level insight without leaving your home. Trusted by world champions, coaches, and karting enthusiasts alike, this is where virtual practice translates into real-world performance. Experience the thrill, the challenge, and the edge. KartSim Pro North America. Use code CHASER20 to get 20% off today.
Paulie Massimino wins the Wisconsin Grand Prix! James Overbeck on start number 2 gets win number 1 in OKN Stars!
On track or off, Brandon Jarsakrak Racing delivers elite performance. Led by 4-time Pro National Champion Brandon Jarsakrak, our team masters driver coaching, data-driven analysis, and mechanical precision at every national event. Contact us today at BrandonJarsakrakRacing.com.
Kart's back on track, fired up here, rolling through. And now that shifters are done, we're halfway through our qualifying run of the day. Here, next Kart's out on track. KA100 Master Supermasters get their way rolling along. Hope everyone's having a great time here in Batavia, Ohio, as we get rolling. Your Masters and Supermasters, ages 30 and up, ages 50 and up, running 385-pound karts with that IAME KA package here. It's myself, Brad Dalton, joined by Justin Prince. And Justin, I tell you what, this is a group that anytime we see them go out, it's always exciting to really watch, and it's always a story of Chris and Andy Kutcher, your top two, always battling it out.
Yes, usually they end up finding a way to pull away from the pack. That's been like that for a couple of years now, for at least here on the Car Chaser side. But remember, they have this little bit of quirks you'll see in terms of the various karts, in terms of the speed differences you'll see pop up. Andy, the one with the white helmet and the white suit. Chris, the one with the black suit in the background. But remember, there's a few other drivers that might disrupt the ebbs and flows here. Brent Estes comes to mind here this weekend. That's another one of drivers that's appeared at the national level, looking to bring them some extra challenge to them.
That extra challenge coming along is going to definitely start to really push things up and down. It always tends to bring out the best in Andy and Chris when there's more drivers here on track to really push through and bring some more pace in. Taking a look here again at how things went in the warm-up for the Master Supermaster package. It was Chris over Andy by 2 milliseconds, 0.002. We also had Scott Falcone, who was out there, and we had Corey Curry, who I don't see on track right now, but Scott Falcone was out there just off the pace as well. Not out on track right now, unfortunately. Hopefully we'll get back out on track for the pre-final and the final today. Scott Falcone tends to be quick as well whenever Scott's around and gives a good challenge to Chris and Andy. It's really going to be a game here right now for Andy and Chris, because we've seen Andy and Chris be really fast and battle each other, and we've seen heartbreak for both of them multiple times throughout the season. Thinking back through again, back to round 3, it's absolutely crazy. Chris had a mechanical failure on the outlap of qualifying, gave Andy pole, and then in the pre-final by lap 2, Chris was back up. Joey Newsel had a mechanical failure, and then looking at the final, Andy got over Chris and running through, and they were able to work together. I mean, it's always a big fight between these two. If they both survive the run, you can never really guarantee how they win, and I'm almost not convinced, Justin, they don't plan this before the weekend on who gets ahead of who.
Yeah, this is more so one of those types of dynamics, I think is the word I'm looking for, that we see pop up a fair bit in this type of racing, where you have family members looking to keep their racing going, looking to compete against one another. And both of them, I think, are going to have a good shot in trying to establish that once again. We're already seeing upwards of a 1 second gap from first to third Estes needs to find a way to pick up the tempo and quickly that 2:35 machine coming off a top 5 in Stars competition recently. One note, we have had one driver since the start of the session at the side of the road, so at least one of these competitors will have to go from the back to the front again.
And going back to front, not exactly how you want to be, but that is kind of, a name of the game sometimes. That is just where you find yourself and where everything will be. It's going to be interesting to really watch and get an idea of the way that the drivers handle things through and where they find themselves. This is going to be a case where it is genuinely going to be about figuring out the best run of things and the best go for the weekend. 30 seconds left to go in qualifying right now. Andy's still over Chris by about 0.123 is the gap for them. And you look back here at this hornet's nest back behind. Andy and Chris kind of running their own game. Everyone else running in a pack here, trying to keep these KA engines running and rolling here. And, one of the things of the weekend to think about, how are we going to keep these engines cool? Because it's hot.
Yeah, that's a good point because you got to find a way temperature-wise to make sure your equipment doesn't overheat. So I think for some of the drivers, trying to find a way to keep it out of the sun, try and put fans over the karts, try and do whatever you can, at least in the bounds of legality, to try and make sure you don't have issues, that motor doesn't go pop, because motors are not an easy expense.
Qualifying done here. Andy over Chris. Again, the time does not improve. It's 0.123 the gap. Brant Estes in third, a second back. Jared Tracy rounds out your master category there in fifth. And then in Super Masters, Paul Meese over Damian Jennings there by a tenth of a second. The 6 karts that took on the run here. We had missing out of that run going through Corey Curry and Scott Falcone in the master category, who ran in warm-up. They did not qualify here for Speed'em Fest. Round number 5 in Batavia, Ohio. Next up on your docket in just a moment, we go to the mini micros. And, well, we said it with 206 Cadet. I'll say it one more time, Justin. Mini micros, they see a green flag and they race.
I mean, that's kind of the goal, right? But, again, for the youngsters, you are right in the matter of they usually fight pretty immediate in terms of what they have. We have a few drivers on that list today for the minis that are going to be interesting. Jack Gutowski's made some great waves in the national scene the past couple of years. Aiden Go is a part of those who are on the entry list coming in. That is also one of those that is very quick, in particular, coming away with some wins in Apex Midwest last month, as well as being one of the drivers battling on the front a bit in USPKS. There's going to be some interesting fights coming up for these drivers, is what I'm trying to say here, as it looks like, at the very least on track, the kart that was stuck in the grass is making the way to pit road so we can move on with the sessions. Take a look at these karts, though. There is the big thing to mention, I think, for a couple of these competitors coming up here, that you also have a few others in this conversation, like Liam Capitello. Capitello has been very quick in the National C2 when he's been able to get track position. We've seen Ganache earlier today, was a driver who was one of those solid at Trackhouse Club Racing in the past month or so. A few notable names, at least for those that are making the spot starts here in this series. And remember, especially in that conversation, a lot of yes-no focus to mini. You have a lot of opportunities. Try and battle for the championship. It's still pretty wide open for that title fight.
Yeah, championship here looking through for the categories is very much going to be a fun one all the way through. And it's one of those championships that's going to come down to the final round of the season. And that final round of the season, for those of you who might be thinking, well, how far away is that? Well, you're going all the way to Cartaween at the end of October, the chili cook-off, which is going to be delicious, I have to say. I am very much looking forward to the chili cook-off there in October 23rd through 25th, rounds 11 and 12, with a trunk or treat, by the way. So we get trunk or treating, and we get a chili cook-off. My only question is, can I race on track in a in a Halloween costume? I probably would. I mean, I wouldn't be competitive in pace to begin with. So let's have some fun. I tell you what, if I was there today, I would probably be racing in a George Washington suit because that just seems very appropriate for the day, if we're honest. Justin, who would you dress up as?
On the racetrack, that's a tough question. I honestly, Abraham Lincoln, I don't know what else to really say in terms of 4th of July costume dress-ups, I guess you could say, on the racetrack.
You know what? It would work. Can we put Roman I could do so many things with a cart to celebrate the 4th of July. Throw some Roman candles around it and just drive around and let the Roman candles shoot up as we go. That's an idea, and I feel like our insurance would not like that. I feel like I'd probably get fired by Kart Chaser just for the risk of that. Kart's rolling around here on track right now. This large entry list that we have here in the micro mini category heading through. They are getting their way moving right now, and I'll tell you what, warm-ups this morning, it was a great run for them. It was Camila Kanash who was top with 103.6. Aiden Go a millisecond off of that pace, though, and you had 20 entries signed up for this class. We have 19 on track at the moment.
That's a pretty sizable class here today with so many drivers, I think, that have an opportunity to try and win this. And remember, coming into today, there were just 6 drivers that had made appearances in the mini side, at least for the point standings. Micro side was 3. So there are some big numbers here for the 4th of July weekend with a lot of these youngsters trying to go. Speaking of go, Aiden Go, first time up on the board, is at the top of it with a 102.9 to begin.
Oh, the 299 off there and around through. That is going to be Madeline Payne off in turn number 12. That is one of your micro entries here, unfortunately, off on the track. Time's still ramping up. Aiden Go 102.988, but we still have 2 minutes left to go, and these mini micros tend to really come alive in the final lap of things. That is really where the difference gets made as they come around here through, as it looks like we are going to get Madeline Payne back on track just as soon as we get a little bit of room here. The mini and micros finding their way into pockets of running here. That is Compitello, who is now getting overtaken by a couple of the TKG carts who are heading their way through down to the line, all working together. Look at that pack coming across. That's Hornish, Lewis, and Compitello working their way along. Hodge, Reinhold, and Thixon through Austin Taylor up. Time's continuing to jump, but that 102.9 still holding strong. 90 seconds left to go.
I think it's going to be tough to top what Go did at the run get-go, just with how things started off. But obviously, now some of the teammates, like right here, find a way to gather up and build momentum together with this package. Compared to that up in front, you see they're not really working together here with a minute or so to go. Some of the drivers not comfortable with their spot-wise. You'll see a little bit of shuffling back and forth. Drivers like Taylor and Co. looking to try and gather it back up as they make their way down to the front straight. Let's find out that Shiflett should say. Now with the tail end of that group, where will the time stand this time? Go to the top. No, Kanache to the top of the board. The 126 to the top of the board.
That top of the board flip here coming through 75 thousandths of a second ahead of Aiden Go as we're down to the last 30 seconds. A lot of drivers starting their final laps, a lot of them on their final laps now. And this category, again, it's so competitive, so fast because of the fact that they are the micro mini run here. And again, if you're wondering what the difference between micro and mini is, well, let me tell you, the micros are ages 7 to 10, the minis are 9 to 12 and about 20 pounds heavier in the mini Swift category over the micro Swifts. As we head down the hill towards turn 12, a majority of your pack here today, 16 of them are in the mini category with Ryder Myers, Griff Heeman, and Madeline Payne. Your 3 micros running things through. Checkered flag is out, so drivers will start crossing the line, locking in their times as they go through. Coming across first on the line is going to be Madeline Payne, locking in there in the back for micros. Kanash comes through, Go, Shiflett, none of them able to improve. Jack Katowski That's a name to watch here today. And 6 not able to improve. Your top 8 locked in by a second. Your entire mini category locked in by 1.8 seconds.
That's done for them here. Ryder Myers still at the top of the board, by the way, when it comes to the micro side of the board over Griff Himmon. So, as they all try and finish up the runs here with a couple of those micros mixed in on fights, it's going to be one of those classes again where you can't really necessarily pick a favorite, I think you could say, Brad, because of how well these drivers looked, and better yet, how some of the fast drivers were really able to settle on in to start the runs in the first place.
Yeah, and that's a big key, of course, for mini micros, is to be able to settle into a run, which is so difficult to do whenever everyone is so competitive and runs things through. It's one of the things that you see catch out mini micros versus, say, junior or KA Pro-Am. Our final 2 classes to come up, by the way, with juniors down here in the pits in the staging area getting ready to go. You can see all the drivers really settling things up. Lots of fist bumps. I see some umbrellas down there for the heat, and I like the red, white, and blue flag shirts that I see down there. Everybody being in the appropriate patriotic colors, ready to go for the day here. Again, it's the Speed'em Fest, not the Freedom Fest. We're in the Speed'em Fest. Exactly what we need here. KA100 Junior will be your penultimate class to roll today here, and as they get ready to roll out, taking a look at that IAME Junior Championship here as it sits. It's Ben Gleiberman who currently leads the way, with Homer Heeman back in second place, Robert Lash, Alex Kutcher in fourth, and Kai Park your top 5 in points. Unfortunately, Kai Park picked up a DQ out of our last round.
I was about to say that's going to mean that category's not going to count for his way. We've seen it for a couple other drivers in the red and towards the bottom of the standings, but Kai Park, because of that, taking a massive hit. If it wasn't for that, would probably be the points leader coming into today. Now, going to be in a danger zone, if you will, to fall out of the top 5 if there's any rough moments here today for Kart 828, or of course the weekend, should say.
Kart's getting ready to fire up and get things going, and as they settle their way along, they set up and they will prepare to go. There we go. Green flag out here in the pit lane, and they are rolling. They are zipper merging to get out onto the track so they can run their 5 minutes of qualifying. 5 minutes, not a lot of time, but it's just enough that at the tail end of the session, your tires are going to be in the best position possible here and ready to go. So as they get rolling through, again, looking at warm-ups this morning and looking at everything, it was Callan Berghofer who was top of the times. Alex Kutcher was third, and Holden Myers was second. They were separated your 3 by 3/10 second in warm-up. Your times in warm-up, your fastest one was a 59.5. So we are looking at probably sub-59s, high 58s, I would say, for a pole time here today.
Yeah, I think today is going to be interesting where all the drivers land again in the order we talked about with the points conversation in the first place. But as these drivers take their first laps this time through, big thing's going to be with Berghofer in the field. That's going to be one of the drivers, I think, who's going to contend for this race win, because now one of those with some national experience, was one of those who also came away with top 10 in US PKS competition about a week or so ago, was in the conversation to win in general in this class. So keep an eye on Kart 826. It's the head of the pack for him to begin this session.
That is a good position to be in here to get your first lap underway and going, being in that up front position here. You have the help from behind and you get things going. And well, for these 13 KA junior karts, they can settle in for a good run here. Again, it's warm. You got to manage that KA package here and make sure it stays cool, but you're also pushing the end of it here. And qualifying, you're not going to care. Holden Myers to the top. Make that Alex Kutcher, make that Homer Heeman. 59.425. All of your top 6 coming across with 59s. And again, I'm expecting to get into the 58th here. We're already faster than we were in warm-up. So lots of pace here. The track, again, rubbering up here with all of our classes going through and warm-up, the practices yesterday, the warm-ups this morning, the qualifyings we've had all the way through. So everyone very much locked in and ready to go here. 3 minutes left to go. Pace continuing to look to pick up.
Yeah, Homer seems to be settling in to begin, but remember, if you're amongst these teams setting up these carts here, or the various family members, depending on your setup, you want to at least aim it up for the final time around, where the tire pressures are built up to the highest point before they start to really fall off. Usually the third lap or so in these carts. Second time around for good measure. Speeds have already picked up by an extra few tenths for the pole time. Holden Myers seems to be holding steady this time through. One of those that went from inside the top 5 to being the top of the board.
Times continue to flip here in KA Junior as we see these drivers go through. I would say only just a couple more laps with 2 minutes left to go here on the clock. 2, maybe 3 laps left. And again, each time they come across the line, it's going to be faster and faster. That is just the nature of getting the tires in the window, getting the cart in the window, getting your brain in the window, and physically getting in the window here. Coming through, again, that turn 13-14 complex. This is a class, and our Pro-Am class, they are the categories to really watch for wheel hopping through 13 and 14 and for going up on 2 wheels. And I don't want to call it rim riding, but almost, I don't have a better thing to call it. Callum Berghofer into the 59.1s here with Homer Heeman, a 59.166. So carts all really settling in here into what should show up, again, into the 58s. It's getting closer. 1:20 left to go. Pace coming up. Everything heating up. And into the middle part of the lap here, Callum Berghofer showing strong pace here. Again, was fastest in warm-up. Is fastest again in qualifying, and the first time out here in the Pro-Am Championship. I would have to imagine for Berghofer, a strong driver, probably trying to use this as basically a pseudo practice weekend for next weekend whenever we come back for the Clash at the Club with Stars.
And again, I'm expecting that to be an entertaining weekend once we get back going there for that part of the action. But as they zip their way through, still about 40 seconds to go, one more lap to get the job done. Look at Glaberman jump up the second on the board, keeping up with the 8:26 on the session. Right now, one of the drivers that needs to find something. We talked about Kai Park earlier. One of those not yet finding something yet. Still in the 1 minute second bracket. The drivers, remember, are up to a second quicker than the 8:28 on the board.
Still times coming through and along. Checkered flag is out. Half of your field has crossed the line. Half of the field left to go. And it's the top half of the field left to shuffle things up here from 6th place up. Kai Park, the only other kart looking to find some extra time. And I would imagine for Kai Park, just looking at the current pace through, is the lone kart kind of running off in the back of the field here. May not be able to. Coming up to the line now, Berghofer leading this group of KA juniors. Coming up and along, will there be improvements? Berghofer comes across. No, does not improve. Kleberman can't improve. Neither can Myers. Neither can Heeman. Neither can Kitcher or Lash. And neither can Kai Park. So we locked things in here where we're at. It's a 59.090. I just needed a tenth of a second to get into that 58, so that way I could feel like I really knew where that qualifying time was going to be. But Berghofer, Gleberman, Myers, Heeman, Kutcher, your top 5 here in the KA Junior run, with your top 9 separated by under a second.
Again, relatively quick here, but as talked about, Berghofer, one of those setting the tone possibly here. I think the top few spots based on that qualifying session could have the chance to see, can they break away from the get-go? If you're like Kutcher or Lash, you might have to find a way, very much so, to make sure you don't lose the front to the back end of those leaders after the first couple laps here as they build up.
One class left in your qualifying session, and it's time for the namesake of this championship here, MCC Pro-Am Karting Championship, and we're going to roll the KA Pro-Ams. to get themselves going. So buckle in, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you're not a Kart Chaser Premium member, you're not going to get to watch the heats or the finals live as they happen today. $9.99 a month. Sign up on PC or Android. That extra $3 could get you a Starbucks beverage of your choice. Mine is a strawberry acai refresher. It's delicious. You should try it, and you can get one if you sign up on PC or Android. If you sign up on iPhone, you're paying that extra $3 for the Apple tax. We don't want you to do that. $9.99 a month on your PC. Become a Kart Chaser member and hang out with me and Justin for your 4th of July as we watch this Pro-Am Championship run here. Will Steele leads the points coming in here, Justin. I have a feeling, though, coming out of this weekend, it's going to be shaken up quite a bit here in Pro-Am.
You know, that's going to be the case, too, with what we expect here over the course of the weekend. But with so many drivers coming out to play when it comes to Pro-Am side, it's the question for some of them. Who's going to step up? Nico Katowski, a part of the entry list. Mateo Rubio Wanko's amongst those on the entry list that showed some good speed at the national level. Alexander Savage, who was working over Newcastle last weekend, looking to try and keep some speed in the Kart here. The list goes on and on to keep up with them. But right now, as they all turn, watch how things go. Steele wants one of the first karts in this pack right now in the red machine, looking to build up momentum here with this KA 100.
Times starting to come through, and this is going to be your largest category of the weekend here. 25 karts currently showing on track. Make that 26. All 26 that signed up are out on track here running through. They are looking quick. Find a friend, stick with a friend. That's probably going to be the name of the game here for these 26 karts as they roll. But, well, do you have a friend really in Pro-Am? That is my big question here for the Speed 'Em Fest. I kind of don't know if you really have friends in Pro-Am, and the answer right now that I'm seeing is no, because dive down to the inside's already happening into turn 12 here. If you feel like you're faster, you're going to go for it. Little dip of the wheel there out of 14 for a couple of the TKG karts as they get going, and that is really going to start to shuffle some things up. It can drain you out of like a tenth of a second. And, well, let's start watching these first laps lock in. 59.1, make it a 59.0 for Nico Katowski, top of the board.
Katowski, one of the top drivers when it comes to this field in terms of starters, I think you could argue. One of those who just took part in USPKS was a runner-up finisher in KA 100 junior competition. Now today, getting a start on the Pro-Am side at the very least. Getting a chance to move up in an age bracket here, or at least compete against those in the Pro-Am side. Prove you can compete against some of the older drivers, you can argue. And today, Katowski setting the boom, if you will, in his respective packing with about 2 minutes to work with.
Already have some drivers being watched here. That 996 of Mateo Rubio already under review here. Seth Bridle going to be busy with this Pro-Am category, I have to say, and is going to be looking to stick things through. I'm looking back at my notes from round 4, by the way, and I literally wrote down one word at the end of round 4. I just said, wow. So if you're wondering how round 4 went, it was a wow. It was an absolute drawn-out battle through in round 4. I will tell you right now, I absolutely loved it, and it is one of those that I definitely think if you missed out on round 4, again, if you're looking for something to watch tonight with the family before the fireworks, you should go back and watch that Pro-Am final through. Will Steele won it over Adler Klein with Alejandro Gallego, your top back last time out. And again, all I wrote down about the racing action itself was wow. Already penalties being handed out in Pro-Am.
Well, that's not the way you want to start or get an avoidable contact, and that is Rubio Owango that just got that penalty mark here. That was second in the order on the session here, so the 996 already in the penalty box within the first couple minutes of the day for the official sessions outside of practice. Going to be a hard race to come back from now, depending on where they get shuffled here once the times get officialized here.
Yeah, that's going to hurt a lot through Nico Katowski probably celebrating because Nico Katowski currently sitting a quarter of a second over Sam Tutt sitting in P3 here. Addison Iannello in fourth, Jordan Klein in fifth, Max Klein in sixth. You've got a lot of very recognizable names here in MCC that are shuffled all the way up and down this Pro-Am category as they run through. 10 seconds left to go. We will have some final lap attempts from Will Steele and Thompson. Braden Heber makes it across the line with 8 seconds left to go. Marcus Batchun, Josiah Phillips, Nico Katowski will have one more lap attempt here as checkered flag is out now. Who makes it across the line? Jordan Klein does not. Paul Shorn does not. Sam Tutt will be locked into third place, and it's a matter of can anyone beat Sam Tutt's third? A few of our drivers here that have a lot of pace kind of got lucky with last second goes across the line here. We'll see if they improve at all.
Yeah, yep, keep it right here if there's any other shuffles. But right now, some of the drivers that need to find a get-go. Heber's but one of the drivers that's looked good in the club scene, usually a bit more work to have to put in the KA100s. But right now, let's see if Katowski's time holds here. Needs to keep ahead with a 58.351. Here we go down to the stretch. No change for Thompson, no change for Steele. They stay down in the 59-second bracket. Then a whole flurry of Barrellard zipped their way through. Katowski did not improve. I think they reached the clipping point the last.
Several of our drivers I don't believe are going to pick to put in a final lap here. They just pull straight off into the pits here. So your pro qualifying I don't believe are going to pick to put in a final lap here. They just pull straight off into the pits here. So your pro qualifying, Nico Katowski up to the top. Mateo Rubio Owengo will be in second. Here's the problem for Rubio is the fact that 996 picked up an avoidable contact penalty during qualifying and will be shuffling down the order. Sam Tutt in third, Isaac Gardner, Addison Iannello, Max Klein, Savage, Kuhn, and Jordan Klein with Tyler Colshorn, your top 10 here. Justin, we're in for a very, very fun day here as things heat up, things get going. We're going to take a brief break here. We're going to go behind the paywall. When we come back here in Batavia, Ohio, it's time for 8 minutes plus lap pre-finals, kicking off with 206 Master Supermaster. Hope you join us on the other up. Things get going. We're going to take a brief break here. We're going to go behind the paywall. When we come back here in Batavia, Ohio, it's time for 8 minutes plus lap pre-finals, kicking off with 206 Master Supermaster. Hope you join us on the other side. Myself, Justin, Brad, everyone here at Kart Chaser, everyone here at MCC. We'll be back.
Cat food marketing. $9.99 a month. Dude, Caleb, wake up. Dude, we're live in 5 minutes. Let's go. Come on. What are you doing?
Dude, I'm so sorry. Xander had me in a cat food marketing meeting till like 2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
2 a.m. last night.
Come on, man.
Do you have anything I can drink?
Dude, I got the perfect thing for you. Perico. It's a healthy energy drink alternative.
Perico, non-GMO, gluten-free, kosher, magnesium, B12, B6,
Yeah, it's good.
B5, biotin, and zero sugar? Pericazo! Try Perico.
This broadcast is the sole property of Kart Chaser Group, LLC. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the images, audio, or accounts of this event, in whole or in part, without the expressed written consent of Kart Chaser Group, LLC is strictly prohibited. Thanks for watching.